order. Celeste, please call the roll.
Perfect timing. Okay. Case.
Here.
Jadish.
Here.
Evans. Here. Esserag.
Here.
Leidig.
Here.
Mead. Slivka.
Here.
Stevenson. Here. Stocking.
Here.
You have a quorum?
Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item is approval of the minutes of September 27, 2018. There is a typo on the header of the memo, or of the minutes. It says July 26th. So obviously that's not, so we'll change that.
Move to approve.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we have one item on this evening's agenda. It's a concept plan review. 5A on the agenda, that's the Nitti Development Subdivision. It's a conceptual review of a proposal to demolish the existing structures and parking areas to construct a 20-unit single-family subdivision. The concept would require a zoning map amendment from R1 low-density single-family residential to R3 medium high-density single-family residential district and a plat of subdivision approval. The location is the east side of Western Avenue at Country Square Drive. The applicant is Frank Nitti of Nitti Development. I'll go through some of the procedures we have for this. This is a concept review. It's a little bit different than a public hearing, so I'll kind of walk through the process that we follow for the evening meeting tonight. Item number 5A on the agenda is a concept review. The Plan Commission will not formulate a recommendation on the contemplated development. A concept review provides the Plan Commission and public with the opportunity to ask questions, provide informal review comments, and to convey any concerns they may have. A public hearing would be required before the Plan Commission in the future if the developer decides to submit a formal application for the contemplated development. Notice of the public hearing would be mailed to all property owners within 500 feet of the property and would be published in a local newspaper no less than 15 days prior to the public hearing. At the public hearing, all interested parties would be invited to present testimony for or against the petition and cross-examine witnesses presenting testimony for or against the petition. So the procedure we'll follow in this meeting will be as follows. First, the developer will provide an overview of the contemplated development and will present any supporting plans or exhibits. Second, the Plan Commission members will have an opportunity to ask the developer questions. Third, members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions, provide comments, and convey any concerns they may have. Fourth, the developer will have an opportunity to answer questions and respond to any of the comments made. And then finally, the Plan Commission will provide the applicant with informal review comments and convey any concerns they may have. We will be taking minutes of the meeting, so if you do not plan on speaking tonight, or if you do plan on speaking tonight, we ask you to provide your name and address on the registration sheet when we first walk in. We'll ask you to state your name and address when you approach the lectern to speak. If you speak multiple times, please state your name each time. Everyone that wishes to speak will be given an opportunity to do so. However, if your comment has already been made or your question has already been asked, it is not necessary to repeat it. Okay, so everybody understands? It's very similar to a public meeting, but it's not as formal as that. Okay, so with that, I'll start with the applicant and their proposal. Hopefully.
Well, good evening, everyone from the Plan Commission. Thank you for taking this meeting. First of all, I know it's not a formal, but we appreciate the review and the time.
Can you pull that mic closer to you, maybe?
Better?
There you
There we go. Okay. All right. So I was saying thank you for taking the meeting, and we appreciate the time you guys have given to this already, and look for any feedback. I am just going to walk through the presentation that's already been submitted. I'm sure you guys have all had a chance to review. But first, my name is Nitti with Nitti Development. We are builders, developers, local. We're office is based out of Glendale Heights. We build all over the western suburbs, and we're family owned. It's my brother and my old man started building a long time ago, and we've been involved since we were young. So I'm going to jump around here because this is a little bit different. But two of our current projects, which is similar to what we're presenting here, would be the Berthold development that is in Elmhurst. It was a former Elmhurst Hospital. It was about 12 acres. We purchased a property in 2014, demolished it, rebuilt it, and 56 single-family homes there. We're actually just about to sell our last house there, so it's been a successful project for us. Another current one that we are just getting rolling on, we actually just opened up our model a couple weeks ago, is Fairway Court, and that's in Glen Ellen. That's 14 single-family homes. Again, similar product to what we build. We have a pretty streamlined approach. We build semi-custom homes, and try to bring the quality of a custom home that we build to kind of a multi-unit type development. So let me walk back here to okay, I'll start here. So the subdivision is 20 basic lots, ranging from 8,400 square feet. I think the biggest one is 21,000 square feet up there in Lot 8. We're proposing a 50-foot right-of-way through the subdivision, and it's pretty simple. We laid it out, nice and tight. Try to get some good size homes in there. We're used to building in smaller lots. Our lots in Elmhurst are 50-foot wide. Our ones in Glen Ellen about 66. So we're used to getting some good floor plans, some good looking homes on some good sized sites. So we think we could do the same here. For this site, we're going to be focusing primarily on first floor master or ranch style homes. That's kind of where the market's taken us. And we have some examples of ones that we've built, ones that we are presenting here on the site. The top one, left one, is a larger ranch. We've actually built that in the past. But they're open concept. That one's about 3,600 square feet. That would have to be fit on one of the bigger corner lots. We see that on like a Lot 8 or a Lot 9 would be great. And then we get to, on the bottom right here, that's a more traditional plan, about 2,300 square feet, where kind of your more typical 60 by 140 lots, it would sit nicely on there. What else did I want to point out? This is a typical site plan. This would be a 2,200 square foot ranch on one of the smaller lots, or a 60 by 140 lot. So as you can see, you still got a nice big deep backyard, 60 foot. You have 20 feet off the walk. So it's situated nicely and gives people what they're looking for this day and age in this market category. We also have a roadway section of the 50-foot right-of-way. We did a 50-foot right-of-way in our Berthold development, and the feeling of it is nice. It's obviously the market appreciated it. We're sold out, but it does kind of create a bit more of a quaint right-of-way opposed to the larger ones, and it helps with lot sizes on the depth. So that is it. I asked, at this point, we're looking for more. I'm sure you guys have questions and more information. So I want to give a quick overview here and then open it back up to you guys in the public.
Okay, very good. Anybody? Brent?
I have a question about like Lot 20 and Lot 15. That'd be sort of the side yard, I guess you would say, would be on Western Avenue. Is there going to be any fencing there to, from a perception driving by, spilling out, messy side yards, neighbors, things like that?
We could definitely incorporate some type of fencing or even some type of berming along that way. I think that would be something further along the road that we could definitely.
I guess it would apply to Lot 1 and 14.
Yeah, kind of along all of this. I think naturally we would do some type of berming or landscaping or something like that to set it back from the road, but
no plans to do that.
Would be plans. I don't know exactly what we would do, but I would think a combination of berming and landscaping and some fencing. would accomplish a nice side yard for those on the street.
I want to follow up on what Brad is saying, because I had the same concern about what this was going to look like along Western Avenue. I was a little concerned because your homes all face away from Western Avenue. It's very interior focused, which I understand you're creating a neighborhood and all that sort of thing, but the streetscape on Western Avenue has, all the homes face Western Avenue. So fencing was what actually I would not like to see, but I would very much want to see some kind of attractive landscaping so that that streetscape remains attractive. You've got nice homes across the street, and I didn't like that they were looking at side yards either. So I agree with Brad. They're not looking at the front of somebody's house, and then they need some kind of berming or landscaping or something to make that still a nice streetscape.
Okay, I think we could definitely incorporate.
Brett, Fred.
Will this development have a homeowners association?
Yes,
It will.
yes, that would, between a detention and we would need to do an association for sure.
All right. And then, David, would this be subject to an SSA?
It would require a backup SSA for the detention area.
Okay.
So in the event that the homeowners association did not maintain it, we would have the ability to levy the properties and make sure it's properly maintained.
Right, right. Because I live in Fisher Farms, and one of the things that I like is that there are no sheds allowed. Yeah, which deters from the, overall quality of the development itself. That would be something to think about. Another point is I was looking at your information in your proposal, and the thing that kind of takes me back is your development is proposing units from 2,100 to 3,100 square feet and starting at a price in the lower 600s to the upper 800s. Well, so much for affordable housing.
I agree.
I know that you're, as a developer, you have to make a profit, but, unfortunately, everything that we see come through just doesn't even come close to affordable housing. Because if you live in Geneva now and you have a house that's worth, let's say, $400,000, and you're at a certain age, you're not going to flip over and do a $600,000.
Right.
And I don't know if that's just a shot in the dark, the price range, but, I saw that and I went, yikes.
More or less, I wouldn't say shot in the complete dark, but and we're probably going to shoot, obviously the lower, for us, the lower pricing we could bring in, the better. And probably realistically we'll try being a 5 to 7s. But until, even at this point, until I take this through further and no surprises and stuff of that nature, that's kind of something that we'll massage and work through. But ultimately, it's going to be in the 5s to 7s. I just can't see it. And it's purely market based, on our end.
Right. And I agree with Mim, with the houses that front up against Western Avenue, that a quality landscaping, because when you go down Western Avenue all the way from Fabian Parkway all the way up to South Street, you're looking at some nice, attractive landscaping.
We do, in both of our current subdivisions, actually, we have great landscaping. We put a lot of emphasis on landscaping. Actually, at Berteau, we use a company called Big Trees for the parkway, and they come out and they're spaded in 6-inch to 8-inch trees, opposed to just the small ones. We'd probably do something similar to this over here. So we take pride in our landscaping. As it helps sells the houses, it helps sells the development. So I'm sure we could work through a landscape plan that would work for everyone.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Cindy?
Just curious, have you ever driven through there?
The site?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, just wondering. I was gonna talk about your Elmhurst development. I was very interesting, the pavers.
Oh, the permeable pavers.
Yeah, those
Yes.
are really cool. I really like that.
Yes.
That was really interesting. The other thing I also noticed about that development was none of the houses, they were not cookie cutter. They were all different. Is that kind of what you're envisioning for this development?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, so Berteau, we actually use 3 floor plans. And what we do is we modify different exterior details to create each house that looks individual. And we do the same thing here. We're doing the same thing in Fairway Court. So we do replate floor plans, but we kind of creatively play around with them a little bit so that all the elevations look different. But yeah, that would be exactly what we do here. There would be no 2 houses that would look the same.
Because it looked nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Scott?
Yes.
Just one more thing, and I know this is a concept review, but at the last development that was proposed here, I know that there was a lot of concern for flooding in the area. So I hope the city engineers, along with staff, will address that issue. Yeah.
Ma'am?
Do you anticipate that everybody will be responsible for their own exterior maintenance, or will it be, will that be provided through some kind of association fee or something?
Exterior maintenance on the homes or on the
No,
like
the yards.
The yard.
We've
Yeah,
had other projects come in where you don't have to do your own yard work when it's targeted to this older
that's
age group.
most likely the route we'll go. Yes, is HOA with landscape maintenance and plowing and stuff of that nature.
And then there was a staff comment about the street width perhaps not being adequate. Can you comment on that?
The proposed right-of-way width is 50 feet. Our standard right-of-way width is 60 feet. They're showing a back-to-back of the roadway as 30 feet, which meets our minimum standard for the road width. But things we will need to check is to make sure that if you park cars on one side of the street, you're still able to maneuver emergency vehicles through the subdivision. So we haven't run those turning templates yet to verify that it works. And then we also have to pack in utilities, sidewalks, parkway trees, fire hydrants. So if it all works within 50 feet, we can grant that subdivision relief, but we need to work through that.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else? Brad?
I was just wondering about the parking situation. And there will be parking? There's enough to park on one side of the street, David?
Again, those are the details we haven't been able to get into yet. So we would like to see parking on one side of the street
Yeah.
at a minimum.
That would address one of my concerns that I had, because I don't think there's parking on either side of Western. No, right outside of this. And I don't know if they're here, but there was a graduation party at the corner of Western and Country Square recently, and even that parking had to go down into one of the cul-de-sacs down the street. And, it seems like a lot of people without a lot of parking options there, unless maybe you're allowed to park on one side.
Right.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much.
I have one more question. What is your anticipated timing? If things go according to schedule, what do you have in mind now?
If you approve me tonight, we'll start
Well, we
next week.
can't do that. It's only a concept review. We can't.
Yeah, we like to fast track it. We'd move as quickly as you could, and everybody could. Exact timeline. We would close, when we're approved, and the quicker the better. We like to move quick. You kind of have to in this market. So.
So do you own the property at this
Not
point?
yet.
Not yet.
Contract
Okay.
purchaser at this point.
Okay.
All right, anything else? All right, thank you very much. Okay, we'll take public comment at this point. I have one person on the list. We'll obviously take any other comments that are out there. Barbara Waller.
My name is Barbara Waller. I live at 940 Western Avenue, and I appreciate the questions that were asked this evening. As was mentioned last time, there was a great deal of concern about the flooding. And my question, I appreciate that being brought up, but my question is about the proposed retention pond. That was a proposal in the last go-around on this, and we did have an infectious disease doctor come to speak to the city council and express concern about the location of that because of mosquitoes. And I would like you to take a look again at the size and the situation on the retention pond to consider the rest of the neighborhood in terms of mosquitoes, insects, and so forth.
Was that submitted to the city?
That was part of the hearing last time.
Part of the hearing?
Yes,
So it
definitely.
was a formal report that we received, or just was
No,
presented to us?
the doctor spoke here.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
it wasn't a report or anything?
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
You have to keep the water going.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your sheet. My name is Jim Manna. I live at 1254 Galway Court in Geneva and have lived here since 1987. You know, if you look at this, it looks real pretty because all that stuff's in yellow. But if you put houses on it, it would be a little bit out of place because the density is so severe. I mean, these houses are just crammed in there. And I'm not against building single-family homes, all right? I'm just concerned about how close they are and how many of them there are, all right? We got, what did we say, 20 homes that we're gonna put in here? Certainly that's better than the 32 or the 16 duplexes that they had the last time. There's a lot of new folks here that weren't here for that big debate that lasted for months. And part of our concern at that point was that this is generally a single-family neighborhood. And I suppose this kind of lives up to that expectation of being a single-family neighborhood, but it sure looks tight. And I wondered if Mr. Evans, you're Mr. Evans, aren't you?
No, Paul's not here tonight. I'm Dave DeGroot.
Dave, is there a way that you can explain to us what the difference is between R1 and R3? Because for the novice, we don't really understand it. And I assume it's lot size that makes this an R3 request.
Sure. So the R1 zoning district has a minimum lot size of 13,000 square feet. And the R3 district has a minimum lot size of 8,400 square feet. And then the R1 district also has a minimum lot width of 100 feet. So at the street frontage, it has to be at least 100 feet wide, where R3 only requires 60 feet of width at the street front.
And what else could the builder build on an R3 besides a single-family home? Anything?
It's only single family. It's a single family district.
Because we found out the last time that the builder could have built triplexes instead of duplexes, and it would have been okay under the code. So at least we're saying that he can only build single-family homes.
Right.
What would the side yard be on these homes?
In R3, it's 6 feet is the minimum requirement,
6 feet.
is the minimum.
So are you going to build them 12 feet apart?
Not necessarily. Actually, the site plan I show, the house is not touching the setbacks, but they could be up to.
Up to 12, so you could have 12 feet between the houses.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just curious because 12 feet between houses seems like out of character for the city, out of character for the neighborhood. Okay. I would hope that the city has access to the stuff that was done when the initial builder was here, because there was an extensive study on how big the retention pond needed to be, and the neighbors on the west side of Western Avenue have had problems with water before, and the people on the east side of this land have had problems with water before, and the people who did the study the last time assured us that the retention pond that was being installed was going to take care of that. Well, I don't know if this retention pond, detention pond, whatever we're calling it, is up to the same standards as what people determined last time. And I'm assuming that the Plan Commission would require the developer to come up with some kind of evidence that the retention pond is going to be enough to cover all these folks who live in the area who've been plagued by water for years. We're not saying don't build on the property, but it doesn't look like there's going to be much property left after they build all these houses. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, sir.
I didn't see the list when I came in either.
Sir Kennedy grabbed it.
My name is Al Bavlik.
Yep.
I live at 1081 Wyndham Court, which is the first cul-de-sac off of Western Avenue, or off of Country Squire Drive. And I've been there since 1979. So I've seen a lot of traffic changes between now and then. This is directed more to the board here. The traffic coming out of Country Squire at several times during the day, morning, evening, when school's coming in, school's going out. You get a lot of buildup of cars back waiting to get out on Western Avenue. I'm wondering if you could consider taking maybe that first center island that's west of Western Avenue, take that out, and then I would also suggest taking the island out on the lots to be developed. So you put in left turn lanes there, which would give people a lot more ability, if they're not making a left-hand turn, that they can get out of there a lot quicker. Because like when school leaves out, or when a train comes by, there's sometimes a 3-4 minute line of cars that affect the traffic there. The other thing you might consider, if it's wide enough, is putting a left turn lane going into Country Squire and going into whatever the road's going to be on the east side of that development. If you do the first one, you guys wouldn't have to maintain it anymore, because I think you maintain that one. And frankly, there's one neighbor that maintains the second one, and maybe there could be consideration, just take them all out. But those are just my only comments.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Anyone else wish to speak on this matter? Anyone? Yes, sir.
Hi, Tom Thomas. I'm at 1233 Galway Court, right across on Western Avenue. Just to reiterate kind of what Jim and the last gentleman said, I think that when you take into effect the beautification or landscaping that you'd like to put on Western Avenue, which I think is necessary, as well as the road changes for traffic, which I think is really critical, then you're going to have to cut down the number of lots somewhere. I really want to see the development, but I want to make sure that you as a board and we as citizens can live with it. And I think once you take what's going to be needed along that Western Avenue side, the eastern side, for some sort of beautification and of a landscaping block or whatever, that's going to cut down those lots and yards. So I think in real, and certainly from the engineer's point of view, from the roadway for parking, and I think the left-hand lanes makes sense. So I think those things are critical. And I think I agree, and I just want to make sure that those are looked at before we go further. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this matter? Anyone? Okay. Not hearing anyone else, we can hear from the developer again if you care to talk about what was just put out there.
Regarding the detention pond, and our engineers, we have really good engineers, actually Brian Rieger is here from V3. He's our civil engineer for the site, and he also did Bertot for us. But we'll definitely work with staff and board and to make sure that everything is adequately sized. We're very familiar with flooding. We worked in Elmhurst and Glen Ellen, two towns that are notorious for water with nowhere to go. That's actually, in fact, how we ended up with the permeable pavers there, is because it actually helped with the water storage. We actually had no requirement for water storage in Elmhurst because of the going from so much impervious, we're moving the hospital to pervious, but we, just because of community outreach and the problems outside of the development with water, we opted to do a number of things for that voluntarily, is one of being the permeable paver road. Under those pretty pavers are about 3 feet of stone, which collect and store water like a detention pond would. And then we also did some stuff in each individual lot. So we're definitely, willing to work with whatever makes sense. As far as density, again, it kind of comes down to, it's market driven. Seller has a price, and, we push to move what works. We like the single family concept, that it is, we'll say single family. That's probably about as much as I give on that.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Any other comments? Yeah, no.
David, does the city have any plans to do anything to address traffic on Western Avenue or Country Squire? Has this come up before? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Not that I'm aware of. I could talk to our police department and see if there's been incidents at that intersection, and certainly discuss some of these ideas regarding the islands and left turn lanes, and see what's feasible there.
Yeah, Mike.
Along those lines, would the city typically require for a project like this, maybe a traffic study, or would that be an option here?
For a development of this size, we typically would not require a full traffic impact study. We can generate estimated number of trips and get an idea of what kind of traffic increase we're going to see here. But typically for a development of this size, we wouldn't require that.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say, I agree with the gentleman who was talking about the backup on Country Square Drive, and I think the visibility, especially turning left going north on Western, is pretty difficult, and that's something that definitely probably should be addressed on the city side if we're having people coming out. I don't know, is that island meant for a right turn only, kind of out? So there's only really one way in? Or, okay. That makes more sense, and that's definitely consistent with my experience over there. But I would like, if this proceeded, something to be done with that intersection at Country Square. It's particularly the left turn going north on Western.
Yeah, Michael.
So would traffic be able to cross Western in and out of the development? Or would it only be able to be a true right in or right out?
Hi, I'm Brian Rieger from V3 Companies. The address is 7325 Janes Avenue in Woodridge, Illinois. I think the idea would be that, and we can approach it many ways, but that traffic would be able to go through that area as well, so straight through Western. But we can talk to staff and through the process and look at those traffic maneuvers and if that makes sense or not. But we were not planning on limiting those maneuvers.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and just further on that, the reason for the median within that connection of this development with Country Squire was because of the median on the opposite side in Country Squire. So if that median goes away on the other side, I think we'd be fine with taking that median out.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments? that's it. All right. David, do you have anything else to add?
I would just, again, this is a concept review, so there are questions on stormwater, traffic management, the right-of-way width, all those items would be addressed in a formal submittal. If the applicant decides to move forward with that application, that would require a public hearing where everybody within 500 feet would get notice and be invited to come and review those documents and present testimony based on those more detailed plans. I guess I would just ask the developer if you feel like you've gotten the feedback you hope to get tonight from the commission and from the public. If there's any other questions you have, now would be a great time. Okay. If not, just let me know. Maybe we can go over this in some detail next week.
All right, thank you very much for your time. Thanks, everybody, for your
Thank you.
comments. Appreciate it.